There's something powerful about a person who doesn't feel the need to announce every move, defend every accusation, or argue every opinion. There's a quiet strength in someone who knows how to stay silent and just watch how things unfold. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is not backing down. Sometimes silence is the loudest declaration of confidence you can make. It says, I know who I am. I don't have to prove it. I don't have to convince you. Time will tell and results will speak. The truth is, people respect what they can't easily read. They admire what they can't quickly shake. When you stay silent in moments where others expect noise, explanation, or reaction, you show a kind of discipline that speaks louder than any words could. There's something remarkable about a person who knows how to carry themselves without feeling the need to explain themselves. It's a quiet confidence that turns heads, captures attention, and earns respect before a single word is spoken. The truth is, you don't have to explain everything about who you are, where you're going, or why you're doing what you're doing for people to notice you. In fact, the less you explain, the more they notice. When you stop trying to convince people of your worth, you create space for your actions to do what your words never could. You don't have to keep telling people about your vision when you can just live it. You don't have to keep proving your intentions when your integrity will show it. You don't have to chase validation when you know your value is already set. Many times, we feel this inner pressure to make sure everyone understands us. We think, if I can just explain my side, if I can just lay out the details, if I can just show them my heart, they'll see it the right way. But the truth is, not everyone is supposed to understand you in this season. Some people have made up their minds no matter how much you explain. Some people have already decided how they see you, no matter how clearly you lay it out. That's why wasting your energy explaining to people who are determined not to understand is draining and unproductive. There is freedom in realizing that silence can be stronger than explanation. When you pull back from over-explaining, you step into a space where your fruit starts doing the talking. And nothing is more undeniable than results. You don't have to shout your dreams when your discipline will display it. You don't have to defend your reputation when your record will reveal it. You don't have to argue about your intentions when your consistency will confirm it. What I've learned is that people start paying closer attention when you stop trying to get their attention. The moment you go quiet and focus on becoming everything you were created to be, those same people who overlooked you will start watching. The people who doubted you will start noticing. And it's not because you explained it better. It's because you lived it better. Your life has a language all its own, and it speaks loudest when you don't dilute it with unnecessary explanations. Every time you stay disciplined, every time you show up with integrity, every time you keep moving forward without needing applause, you're saying something powerful without uttering a word. The less you explain, the more space you create for others to see what's undeniable. Your growth will be seen. Your elevation will be obvious. Your fruit will be evident. That's the beauty of restraint. When you don't feel obligated to explain, you conserve energy for what really matters. You channel that time and focus into developing your gift, sharpening your skills, and deepening your character. And sooner or later, the fruit of your labor will command attention in ways your explanations never could. Let your excellence be your argument. Let your consistency be your conversation. Let your discipline be your defense. It's hard to argue with someone who has results. People might not like you, but they can't deny your fruit. They might not agree with you, but they can't dismiss your track record. They might not understand you, but they can't ignore the hand of God on your life. That's why you don't have to waste time trying to convince those who can't see it. Just keep becoming, keep showing up, keep delivering. Eventually, your work will introduce you better than your words ever could. It takes maturity to stay silent and let the results speak. It takes discipline to resist the urge to clarify every detail when you'd rather just set the record straight. But here's what happens. When you stay focused and let the work speak, respect starts to rise. People respect what they see over time. Words can fade quickly, but consistency leaves a lasting impression. You don't have to tell people you're trustworthy when you've demonstrated trustworthiness every day. You don't have to explain your motives when your long-term actions show integrity. Over time, even those who were skeptical will have to step back and acknowledge, I may not have seen it at first, but I can't deny it now. Your results have a voice, and that voice gets louder every time you stay faithful and keep moving forward. Think about the people who have impacted you the most. Chances are, it wasn't their explanations that made the biggest impression. It was their example. It was how they carried themselves, how they stayed steady, how they kept producing excellence year after year without needing to broadcast it. That's the level of influence that lasts. You don't have to rush to get there. Just keep building brick by brick, quietly and consistently. Your fruit will speak volumes when the time is right. Sometimes we feel the need to explain because we're afraid people won't believe in us otherwise. We think their approval validates us. But when you know who you are and whose you are, you realize you don't need external validation to keep building what's on the inside of you. Your calling isn't up for debate. Your purpose isn't dependent on their permission. You don't have to argue for a seat at the table when you were already invited by the one who called you. That's why you can stay silent and just keep showing up. Every time you resist the urge to explain, you strengthen your roots. You go deeper, you become more grounded, and deep roots produce tall fruit. The truth is, your silence speaks of security. It tells the world, I don't have to scramble for understanding because I'm already standing on solid ground. When you know where you're planted, you don't panic when people don't get it right away. You understand that time has a way of revealing what explanations cannot. Time showcases what words try to describe, and time respects those who stayed faithful long enough to see the harvest. That's why you don't need to be discouraged when people question you, doubt you, or underestimate you. Let your results answer them. Let your success speak to them. Let your fruit silence them. Your job is not to convince them, but to continue. Continue building, continue growing, continue producing. In the end, it's not the loudest person who wins. It's the one who was faithful the longest. It's the one who stayed the course, even when others didn't believe. It's the one who understood that results shout louder than responses ever will. You don't have to fight to be seen. Just be consistent and you will be undeniable. You don't have to force people to notice. Just stay faithful and they will eventually recognize. When you put your head down and do the work, one day the work will lift your head up. The results will announce what you didn't have to. There's no need to debate with people who are not qualified to weigh in on what you're called to build. Your fruit will speak for you. Your track record will validate you. Your excellence will defend you. You're not here to win arguments. You're here to win in life. And the best way to do that is to stay focused and let your success settle the score. You may have people in your life who don't understand the vision you carry. They don't see the hours you're putting in behind the scenes. They don't recognize the sacrifices you're making, the character you're building, the foundation you're laying. That's okay. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to justify it. Just keep going. One day, they'll see what you were building all along. And when they see it, they'll respect it. Not because you told them about it, but because you showed them through your results. Explanations fade, but evidence remains. People forget what you said, but they remember what you produced. They remember the life you lived, the impact you made, the fruit you bore. That's why you don't need to spend all your energy trying to be understood. Spend your energy becoming undeniable. Focus less on making announcements and more on making advancements. Don't get caught up in trying to convince people who aren't called to carry what you're carrying anyway. Your results will clarify what your words never could. You don't have to argue about your worth when your excellence proves it. You don't have to explain your process when your progress shows it. You don't have to fight for recognition when your fruit commands it. That's the power of staying silent and producing anyway. That's the strength of holding back explanations and pouring that energy into elevation instead. You're not wasting time trying to be understood. You're using your time to become unstoppable. And one day, when the results start flowing, the same people who didn't get it will have to respect it. It's important to remember that results don't show up overnight. But every quiet, disciplined decision is adding up. Every time you chose integrity over shortcuts, every time you showed up when no one was clapping, every time you stayed consistent when it would have been easier to quit, you were planting seeds. And seeds don't make noise when they grow. They grow silently, but eventually they produce fruit that everybody sees. Your silent work will produce a visible harvest. Your hidden preparation will produce undeniable results. And when that time comes, you won't have to explain a thing. Your life will be the explanation. Your results will be the answer. Your fruit will be the proof. There comes a time in every journey when the most powerful thing you can do is get quiet. Not because you're weak, not because you've run out of things to say, but because you've matured to the point where you understand that silence invites revelation. When you stop talking, when you stop trying to figure it all out with your words and explanations, something shifts. That's when God starts revealing things you couldn't have uncovered on your own. That's when insights start surfacing that weren't accessible in the noise. That's when clarity comes in ways that conversation couldn't produce. It's in the quiet that you start to discern what you couldn't hear before. It's in the stillness that the whispers of wisdom rise above the clutter. Sometimes we get so busy talking, explaining, defending, and debating that we crowd out the very revelation we've been praying for. We're asking for answers, but filling the air with our own noise. We're asking for direction, but too busy justifying our plans. There's a place of spiritual maturity where you realize that the less you say, the more you hear. The less you strive, the more you receive. The less you broadcast, the more you discern. When you release the need to verbalize every thought, every frustration, every strategy, that's when revelation quietly steps in. It's easy to think that if we say more, we'll understand more. But often, revelation doesn't come from increased volume. It comes from intentional silence. It comes from leaning in with your spirit, not speaking louder with your mouth. It's in those quiet seasons when you feel tucked away, when you're not in the spotlight, when you're not making announcements, that deep breakthroughs start unfolding. Sometimes the greatest shifts in your life don't happen when you're speaking. They happen when you're listening. When you step back from explaining yourself to others, you create space for God to explain things to you. He starts uncovering motives, clarifying direction, aligning your heart with His purpose. Things that seem blurry start coming into focus. Things that felt confusing start making sense. But it doesn't happen when we're busy filling the air. It happens when we slow down and lean in. There is power in choosing quietness. It's not passivity, it's posture. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's saying, I don't have to fill the silence to feel secure. I can sit in it and trust that clarity is coming. And the truth is, some of the most profound breakthroughs in your life are wrapped in seasons where it feels like nothing is happening on the surface. You're not getting invitations. You're not in constant communication. You're not having to make big announcements. But underneath, something significant is being worked out. The roots are going deeper. The vision is getting clearer. Your character is being shaped in ways that can only happen in quiet places. Don't underestimate the value of those silent seasons. Don't despise the moments where it feels like you've been pulled back from the crowd. That's not punishment, it's preparation. You're being positioned for revelation that's going to carry you into your next season. And you couldn't get that revelation with all the noise. When you choose to quiet your mouth, your spirit becomes more sensitive. You start discerning what's for you and what's just a distraction. You start recognizing doors that are from God and doors that are just detours. You gain clarity about relationships, about assignments, about timing. You get insight into why certain things didn't work out and why certain opportunities had to be paused. It all starts unfolding, not because you talk more, but because you listened more. And what's amazing is that what's revealed in the quiet is often far greater than what you were reaching for in the noise. The breakthrough you were chasing comes to you. The answer you were striving for shows up in stillness. You realize that you didn't miss anything by pulling back. You gained everything by posturing yourself to hear what you couldn't hear before. The quiet seasons are often where the most growth happens because that's where distractions fall away. Without the constant chatter, you start facing yourself more honestly. You start dealing with things in your heart that had been buried under business. You start aligning your inner world in ways that external accomplishments could never satisfy. And it's from that deep inner alignment that breakthroughs begin to form. You become anchored. You become grounded. You become clear. And when you emerge from that quiet place, you're not just coming out with another idea. You're coming out with insight that has been forged in silence. You're coming out with clarity that was cultivated in stillness. And that kind of revelation produces fruit that lasts. Many times, we resist quiet seasons because we equate silence with stagnation. We think if we're not making noise, we're not making progress. But some of the greatest breakthroughs require that you pull away long enough to gain heaven's perspective. What's happening in the silence is never wasted. The roots you're growing in obscurity will sustain the fruit that will show up in visibility. The insights you're receiving behind the scenes will sustain the influence you'll carry in front of people. Don't rush through the quiet places. That's where deep things are being built. That's where revelation is being deposited. That's where your next season is quietly being shaped. When you quiet your own voice, you become more sensitive to the gentle nudge of direction. You stop striving to make things happen and start surrendering to what is meant to happen. You let go of forcing doors open and start recognizing the doors that are already swinging wide. You stop exhausting yourself trying to be heard and start realizing you're already seen. And when you get that revelation in the quiet, you come back into your next season not needing to shout to be validated because your security is set. You don't have to over-explain because your confidence is anchored. You don't have to chase opportunities because you're aligned with your assignment. It's the quiet seasons that carry the weight of your future breakthroughs. And while others may not see what's happening beneath the surface, you can rest knowing that something is growing. Seeds don't make noise when they sprout, but the harvest is undeniable when it shows up. You don't have to announce everything while it's forming. Just stay faithful in the quiet. Keep showing up. Keep leaning in. Keep listening. Revelation is coming. Insight is forming. And when it's time to move, you'll move with clarity you didn't have before. You'll step with confidence you couldn't have found in the crowd. You'll advance with wisdom that only comes from stillness. Silence is not empty when you fill it with expectation. Quiet is not wasted when you embrace it as preparation. The same way an arrow has to be pulled back before it's launched forward, you may feel like you've been pulled into a quiet space. Don't misinterpret that pullback. That's positioning. That's alignment. That's preparation for the release that's coming. And when it's time, you'll be launched farther than you could have gone if you had stayed in constant noise. There are things you can only see when you're not speaking. There are things you can only discern when you're not distracted. And there are breakthroughs that only form when you stay long enough in the quiet to receive them. So if you find yourself in a season where it feels silent, don't resist it. Lean into it. Embrace it. Ask, what are you revealing to me that I couldn't hear in the noise? Open your heart and listen, because what you receive in that space will shape the trajectory of your next season. You're not behind because it's quiet. You're being prepared in a way that noise can't produce. Your next breakthrough is forming in the quiet. Your next level of clarity is settling in the silence. Your next elevation is taking root where nobody else can see it. And when it's time, you won't have to force anything. You'll step out with a confidence and clarity that can only come from someone who chose to get quiet long enough to hear heaven's instructions. That's why you don't have to be anxious when communication slows down, when opportunities pause, or when the noise fades away. That's not loss. It's alignment. That's not rejection. It's redirection. That's not stagnation. It's revelation. Your breakthroughs aren't found in striving. They're discovered in surrender. Your next season isn't birthed through hustle. It's released through hearing. So posture yourself to listen. Quiet your heart to discern. And trust that what is revealed in the silence will carry you farther than you could have gone speaking in circles. There's a depth that's coming to you that can't be earned through conversation. It's forged in quiet communion. And that depth will sustain you long after surface level noise fades away. There's a calm assurance that settles into your spirit when you've spent enough time in quiet seasons. You stop needing constant confirmation from people because you've already received revelation from the source. You stop running from stillness because you realize it's in stillness that your roots grow deep. And when those roots are deep, you can withstand any storm. You can navigate any transition. You can step into any room with a calm confidence, knowing you're anchored in what was revealed in the quiet. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not to respond. It confuses people when you don't react the way they expected. It unsettles those who were banking on your retaliation. It frustrates the strategies of those who were hoping to get a rise out of you, to bait you into saying something, doing something, proving something. There is a power in silence that most people underestimate. It's easy to think that if you don't speak up, you're weak. If you don't defend yourself, you're losing. If you don't clap back, you're conceding. But in reality, when you don't take the bait, when you stay composed, when you choose silence over reaction, you are holding a power that not everyone understands. You are demonstrating that you are not controlled by outside forces. You are not manipulated by people's expectations. You are not living on the level of pettiness, but rising above it with purpose. Your silence becomes a shield, and that shield protects your peace, your clarity, and your direction. When you refuse to engage in drama, the people who initiated it lose their influence over you. They don't know what you're thinking. They can't predict your next move. They lose the advantage they thought they had because your restraint has cut off their access. Your silence has interrupted their strategy. The enemy doesn't know what to do with someone who won't bite back. Those who were counting on you to lose your cool, to step out of character, to say something out of frustration, they are left confused when you don't respond. What they thought would control you no longer works. And that's when you start winning battles in ways that don't require words. The less you react, the more you protect what truly matters. You don't have to announce every move. You don't have to defend every attack. You don't have to justify every decision. Your restraint speaks louder than any argument ever could. Your calm presence in the face of chaos makes a stronger statement than any comeback. When you stay silent, you give God space to respond. You are saying, I don't need to prove anything. I trust that what's for me is secure. I believe that what's been spoken over my life is greater than what's being spoken about me. And that posture opens the door for divine intervention. The less you react, the more heaven can respond. The less you jump to fix it yourself, the more you position yourself to watch how it's handled for you. There are situations where your words won't change hearts, but your restraint will invite God to do what you couldn't do with your speech. Your silence creates a runway for breakthrough to land. Your refusal to engage allows divine justice to step in. It's natural to want to respond, to defend, to correct false narratives, to make people understand your side. But there is wisdom in recognizing when silence carries more strength than speech. Not every situation deserves your energy. Not every comment warrants your reply. Not every attack deserves your attention. There is wisdom in stepping back and letting your composure do the talking. There is strength in holding your peace and trusting that time will reveal the truth. There is confidence in knowing that your character will outlast any false accusation, any manipulation, any misrepresentation. When you remain silent, you frustrate the enemy because you refuse to play by his rules. You disrupt the strategy of those who hope to derail you with distraction. Your calmness says, I'm not moved by this. I'm anchored in something deeper. And that quiet confidence has a ripple effect. It disarms those who wanted to discredit you. It unsettles those who thought you would fold under pressure. It stabilizes your own spirit so that you can hear clearly, discern wisely, and move strategically. When you don't react, you protect your discernment. You keep your ears tuned to the right frequency. You keep your vision clear so that you don't miss what's ahead because you're entangled in what's behind. The truth is, the less you engage with small distractions, the more energy you have to focus on big assignments. The less you respond to petty criticism, the more capacity you have to step into purposeful opportunities. When you rise above the noise, you hear things others can't hear. You see doors others can't see. You navigate with a clarity that's not available to those caught in constant reaction mode. Your silence not only frustrates their strategy, it fortifies your own. It strengthens your foundation. It sharpens your focus. It increases your sensitivity to what really matters. Sometimes silence is not avoidance, it's advancement. It's choosing to move forward instead of circling back to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. It's choosing to conserve your energy for what's fruitful instead of spending it on what's futile. It's choosing to trust that vindication doesn't come from your arguments, it comes from your alignment. When you're aligned, the right people will see you. The right doors will open. The right opportunities will present themselves. And none of it will require you to lower your standard just to prove a point. Your silence not only disrupts their strategy, but it invites favor into your space. It shows that you're not desperate for validation. You're not anxious for approval. You're settled enough to know that what is for you cannot be stolen by gossip, by manipulation, by attack. You don't have to prove your worth to those committed to misunderstanding your purpose. You don't have to explain your calling to those unwilling to hear your heart. You can stay silent, stay steady, and let the fruit speak for you in due time. And when the fruit shows up, it will silence every false narrative, every misjudgment, every misrepresentation. The less you react, the more you'll see divine responses unfolding on your behalf. The less you strive to defend yourself, the more you'll witness favor defending you. The less you argue, the more you'll experience alignment advancing you. Silence is not inactivity, it's intentionality. It's saying, I choose peace over proving. I choose clarity over confusion. I choose purpose over pettiness. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's not passivity. That's power. And it positions you to walk in a strength that's not dependent on people's opinions, but grounded in divine affirmation. People may wonder why you're not saying more, doing more, clapping back more. Let them wonder. Every time you withhold a reaction, you are growing stronger. Every time you choose not to respond, you are cultivating discipline. Every time you walk away from drama, you are reinforcing your discernment. And those internal muscles will carry you further than any argument ever could. Your silence doesn't mean you don't see what's happening. It means you see it clearly enough to know it's not worth your energy. It means you're wise enough to know that some battles are won by restraint, not retaliation. When you stay silent, You are building a foundation that noise can't shake. You are aligning yourself with a wisdom that transcends momentary emotions. You are opening your life to responses that only heaven can orchestrate. You are creating space for doors to open that your defense couldn't have unlocked. You are allowing clarity to rise that arguments couldn't have produced. You are growing into someone who doesn't need to prove because you're already positioned. And that kind of security frustrates the enemy like nothing else, because it means you are not reactionary. You are anchored. Every time you choose not to react, you're reminding yourself who you are. You're reminding yourself that you are not defined by accusations. You're not shaped by opinions. You're not controlled by criticism. You are governed by purpose. You are guided by clarity. You are secured by calling. And from that place of inner stability, you can walk into any room, face any opposition, navigate any situation without being moved. Your silence builds inner fortitude. It cultivates discernment. It sharpens focus. It protects destiny. And over time, it delivers results that far outweigh anything you could have produced with your words alone. You'll notice that the less you react, the more peace increases. The less you engage in unnecessary battles, the more wisdom multiplies. The less you try to correct everyone, the more favor follows you. That's not coincidence. That's the reward of restraint. That's the blessing of composure. That's the fruit of discipline. And as that fruit grows, it silences every distraction, every false narrative, every attempt to pull you off course. You don't have to say a word. The evidence will speak for you. The results will defend you. The fruit will confirm you. So don't be discouraged in seasons where it feels like you're being misunderstood, but told to stay silent. Don't feel defeated when your restraint makes others uncomfortable. That silence is not empty. It's working. It's shaping you. It's positioning you. It's clearing the path ahead of you. It's aligning you with breakthroughs you didn't even see coming. The strategies that were designed to frustrate you are being frustrated themselves because your silence shut the door on their effectiveness. The plans that were meant to distract you are unraveling because you refuse to engage. Your posture of peace is doing more in the spirit than any argument could have done in the natural. As you stay steady, you'll start seeing doors open that don't make sense. You'll notice favor increasing in ways that couldn't be explained by natural means. You'll watch as opportunities come to you that weren't connected to your striving, but to your surrender. You'll witness how vindication shows up not because you argued for it, but because you trusted for it. And that's when you'll realize that silence wasn't weakness. It was the setup for the breakthrough. Your quiet restraint became the catalyst for divine release. Every time you hold your peace, you're planting seeds of wisdom. Every time you stay silent, you're watering those seeds. Every time you resist the urge to react, you're cultivating a harvest that will show up in due time. And when that harvest comes, it will silence every critic, frustrate every strategy that tried to stop you, and confirm every promise spoken over you. That's why you can be confident in the quiet. You can be secure in the silence. You can rest in the restraint. Because what is building behind the scenes will far outweigh anything that tried to distract you on the surface. And when it's revealed, everyone will see that your silence wasn't empty. It was strategic. So don't worry when people don't immediately see your worth. Stay silent and keep moving. Don't get discouraged when they misunderstand you. Stay silent and keep growing. Don't lose heart when they question your motives. Stay silent and keep building. There will come a moment, and it always comes, where your consistency outshines their criticism, where your results drown out their rumors, where your elevation silences every false accusation. That's the beauty of staying silent. It may feel like you're doing nothing, but in reality, you're planting seeds of respect that will harvest in due time. Silence is a sign that you trust the process more than you trust your feelings. That you believe vindication is coming, even if it doesn't come on your timeline. That you understand true respect is earned, not demanded. And those who learn to wait quietly are often the ones who rise powerfully. Your silence is not emptiness. Your silence is preparation. Your silence is alignment. And if you'll stay silent long enough, you'll look up one day and realize you didn't have to fight to be respected. You just had to stand still and let it find you.